Right before Jesus was arrested, he asked his closest friends to pray for 1 hour. And instead, they fell asleep. But later on is when the real test came, and Peter wasn't ready. Will we be ready when the test comes our way? Join us as we talk about it. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Morning Manna Podcast. We're here, you're here, and we're glad that you are. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Nick Ertel, and today we've got our lead pastor, Chris Fletcher.
I am actually rethinking whether this is the episode for me. This has started, off camera it started.
Yeah, that's right. And then we've got the one and only Rachel Fletcher. Welcome.
Hi.
Good to have you. And then we've got Pastor Jeff Christensen.
How's it going, y'all?
Yeah, so this is us. Here we are. If y'all could have only been here 10 seconds before we started.
It's been a blast so far.
That's right. All right, Producer Bryson, what do you got?
Let's pray. Let's go home.
And that's the end of our episode. God bless you.
The people can see you now.
They can see me.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Can I just
so
say
special.
for the viewers at home, those of
That's
you
why
watching
he
on
cut his
YouTube,
hair.
I am curious how many of you who've not been in the manna sphere expected that. When the camera went on Bryson, did you expect what you're now drinking in with your eyes? Comment down below. Is Bryson
Is he everything
is
you thought
Bryson-
Why
he
is it drinking in?
Is Bryson the hairy caveman you thought he was?
Vibrant image.
Well, I'm slightly reformed.
Yes.
I've changed my
I mean,
look.
just
I'm
2
still-
weeks ago, he
Yeah.
looked like a homeless lumberjack.
I was 1 month past a haircut due, and it will never be at that point.
1
ever
month.
again.
Boy,
Good.
you're
Yeah.
being generous to yourself.
Well, now he's got the single curly Q coming down.
I do.
Indeed,
yeah.
he does. Yeah.
Isn't it so? It's so nice.
We're already focusing on him too much.
All right, what do you got for us?
Just wait till later on in the episode when I'm bugging you, and they can probably see my. Oh, they might even be able to see me antagonizing you, which I don't do, and I'm falsely.
No,
accused.
I can't. That actually is helpful. I hope they cut to you playing on your phone trying to throw us off.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that Johnny knows not to edit that in. Anyway,
Great.
We have a very special icebreaker. It is Valentine's Day weekend.
Oh,
So,
Boo.
despite God,
what?
Sorry,
he
go
doesn't.
ahead.
He doesn't enjoy loving his wife.
It's commercialism. Keep going.
All
So
right,
I
Ron.
wanted
All right,
to
Ron
know-
Swanson.
Nick's
Yeah,
all business.
seriously.
It's just,
So I was just curious. What is the most romantic date you have been on with your spouse? And then maybe, if you're Nick, what has been the biggest flop of a date that you've planned?
Wow.
For your wife.
Most romantic. Well, we only have one couple on the show, so what's the most romantic date?
Yeah,
that y'all
you
have
go
been on?
first.
Yeah. Do you guys have the same answer?
That's what I'm interested in seeing.
date.
Date.
Are you already thinking of one? You're just seeing if she's going to say the same thing.
I'm
I think
thinking of
like
hundreds.
oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Can I answer both at once? So like the best and then the
You can do whatever
flop?
you
It's
want.
not really
Rachel.
a flop though, and we weren't even.
Oh, I can't wait for this one.
No. We were not married when we went on our first Valentine's date,
That's true.
and he took me to go where I don't. Well, it was Les Miserables, right?
We went to
up
Deepak
in Raleigh. Okay, it was at
to see
Deepak.
Les Miserables.
And he took me to this restaurant that was so expensive, and at the time we just didn't have. We had hardly any money.
This is
at all.
February.
Like he
This
was,
is February. I asked you to marry me in March, so
Yeah.
I know it's coming.
And so he took me to this really, really fancy restaurant. And I like fancy things. I like fancy restaurants. But they didn't have, I don't eat fancy meats, I guess. Like I'm just not like adventurous.
It was
so
the Irregardless.
Yeah.
The
oh,
only
that's such a
thing-
good
Duck,
place.
the duck at the
Sorry.
Irregardless, like you will write a song about
Yes.
it. I was so good.
I don't eat duck.
Okay,
So I was like,
there you go.
there's nothing on this menu I can eat. And plus, I'm not going to spend like $30, when I don't want to spend his money. So I got a house salad.
And a side of fries.
Did I get a side of fries? I don't even
He
remember.
literally remembers this.
Well, because
Let me just say-
apparently you double. This is the flop.
But I was starving after. I was so hungry. So we went to go see Les Miserables, which was so much fun, and it was really great. It was special.
and I'm driving her
But I
back
was
to her
starving,
house.
so I was like, I need to stop. Can we go to McDonald's?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then
So we
got
got
a
double
hamburger.
cheeseburgers.
But I would not say that's a flop. But then the next year, it was really sweet because you, for Valentine's Day, I bought you the CD, right?
Yes.
Didn't I buy you the CD? I guess that was my.
The original,
was my
the original cast.
But I don't know.
recording.
We just always, and then he bought me the
nice
book
touch.
like a few years later of Les
Yeah.
Miserables. Anyway, it was
That's
just
so
like a
sweet.
theme.
Nice touch.
So I
Wow,
don't.
you do have a heart.
Yeah,
Oh my
it
god.
was really sweet.
You're so
we-
cute.
Wow.
But
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know. If I don't. What would you say?
I think my most favorite date. Now we went to New York. You were pregnant with Jaden.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
our
that
last.
was great.
It was our last. It was our last Valentine's Day without a kid
Yes.
making racket, and we went to Phantom of the Opera,
Yes.
and we went to John's Pizza,
And that was amazing.
which is like, in terms of New York pizza, it's like a legendary pizza joint in New York. And that stands out as a huge memory for me because we went to the ticket office to get the tickets and we didn't know if we were going to get in.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to see Phantom.
That's our
And-
favorite.
yeah.
It's so sad that they canceled that. But I was pregnant already, and already that play makes me cry. And
Oh
I was
my
crying
gosh.
so
She
hard.
was weeping.
that I was like, we can't get up right now.
Yeah, we sat after it was
For
done. We
30
sat in there for a
minutes.
while. She was weeping buckets.
It's such
like
it's such a good show.
I'm not
It was
ruining
so
it.
good, but I was.
You know the
I
Phantom
was-
doesn't win, but like her heart is
But I was-
rent on the floor, and I'm thinking, well,
Yeah.
that
I was pregnant
was a home
too.
run.
I know my
Spoiler
my
alert.
hormones were crazy, but
we got
if
to
I
see it.
ruined Phantom for you, get over it.
For the two viewers who have
Come on.
never heard of Phantom of the Opera, you are going to be really disappointed.
Yeah. I'll tell you the biggest flop. The biggest flop was we were dating. It was super late or whatever, and I think I called you. We were talking on the phone, and you wanted to get something to eat. So I was like, I'll grab you. Let's run to McDonald's, like midnight or whatever. And your dad decided to crash
oh
the
no,
party.
why are we going to tell this story? We're
Well, I
running
wasn't
out of
gonna tell
time.
the
We
rest
need to
of
move
it.
on.
So your dad crashed it, and I was like, I'm going to pick her up and be super. That's super awesome.
Good.
I ended up. It was dark. I put mascara on my lips because I thought it was my lip balm.
Oh man,
That's good.
So that actually turned into a really
Rachel
funny thing.
went goth.
Because me and Wayne
Yeah.
are in the front seat because that's what I always imagined was me sitting next to her dad when I went to go pick her up, and then I look back and she's like, "Does anyone have a napkin?" And her mouth is covered in black. And I was like,
What is happening?
I was trying to be
I
cute.
panicked
Yeah.
because I thought there's something wrong with this chick. What's going on?
Are you taking
This is not going to work
That's
out.
awful. That's embarrassing. Anyway,
I wasn't
okay,
going
you
to tell
guys.
that part.
Wow. Yeah. So the flop was actually the first Valentine's Day that Emily and I were dating. I say flop. We remember it very fondly, but
Yeah, now you do.
right. Well, no. Even then, it was we were able to laugh at it even that night. But she lived in Fuquay Varina, and so I had this plan. It was actually a cold February, and we knew somebody who lived on like a lake, a pond, etc. That neighborhood where Brian's family used to live, and they owned a gazebo right by the lake, and so they were letting us use their gazebo to eat, and so I thought this is real nice. I'm doing
Real
this.
nice.
So I ordered from Luigi's. I had it ready to pick up at a certain time. I drove up there to pick her up and bring her back to Fayetteville because I didn't want her driving on Valentine's Day. I would pick her up and all of this stuff, right? And so I pick her up. We get the food from Luigi's. We drive out there. I've got coffee for us. I've purchased this thermos that we're keeping coffee in. But by the time we drove out there, got set up, the food was stone cold.
Yeah.
In this freezing temperatures in February.
Yeah.
And even the coffee in the thermos was cold. I mean, it was like
You didn't think
how
that-
did this get cold?
This was more like a Civil War battle reenactment.
No one could have
Just
seen
you,
this coming.
yeah.
you and the troops
It
camped
kinda-
out under the starlight.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let's relive Gettysburg. So and it was just like, well, this sucks. And, and
That's what they
she's-
said at Gettysburg, too.
She saw your effort.
She's laughing and all of that, but like I'm thinking, man, in my head, this worked out so well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in practice,
Title of your highlight reel.
So many things do, huh?
absolutely didn't. Married life, I would say the best that we had. We did a Christmas away at the Red Rocker Inn in Asheville, and it was idyllic. Snow fell.
Oh, wow.
And they have like their food has been like award-winning food and stuff. Their cheddar grits, you will give your life for their shrimp and cheddar grits.
Wow.
Whoa.
Bryson
Just
will.
saying.
He was looking at Bryson.
So-
He
No,
was
I mean, I
looking
don't know
me
that I would
deep-
die, but
deep
I'm
into the
I'm
windows
into,
of my soul.
I'm into shrimp and grits.
You
I'm
might
gonna tell you right now.
and it was fantastic.
Tacos as well, but
Yeah,
definitely
so
shrimp and grits.
apparently Jesus likes tacos too. So that was great. But the final Valentine's Day before we got married, I late at night, I drove to her apartment, and there's a phrase from a particular song that we both knew. That's like a love song, and we both knew this particular, I say phrase. It's a couple of sentences. It was like 60 words, but I wrote out every word to those sentences, cut them out on individual little pieces of paper. I cut them into and safety pinned them all to 60 different stuffed animals that I bought at a dollar store.
That's annoying.
And stuffed them into her car so that she would have to get them all out and sort the puzzle out.
That's a prank. That's not
of what it
romantic.
was.
That's annoying.
No, dude.
Oh, that's sweet.
That
That's
was her
sweet. Yeah.
reaction, was like, oh my gosh. Like putting that puzzle together. What was the word puzzle?
You know, your wife and I have been friends for a while, before you were married. And I do remember having a couple of conversations where she was like, Jeff is just like, ugh. And then it was that really put her over the edge.
Yeah. That's why we were engaged a couple months later.
She decided to put up with, I'm going to put up with it. Those were her
That's
words.
Like, this might work.
Yeah.
She was crying because she clearly understood that Jeff didn't understand the assignment.
All right, Nick, do you have one?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's great. Let's be the end of the segment for the Icebreaker. Thank you, guys. We'd love to hear from you, your favorite Valentine's Day story with you and your spouse. So please comment it down below. And then also stay tuned for the Mano mailbag. All right, Nick, back to you for the meat and potatoes.
Every date Nick has ever planned has flopped. So let's just get that out there.
Bryson, put a camera on him and a mic in his face. And
He thinks he's in control.
He's a grown-up boy.
That's
What was
right.
that, Nick? Am I in control?
We're gonna.
Wow.
Tell you what,
Wow.
Mom said he could drive the Vespa to and from work.
Next week we're gonna have a different producer.
I tell you what.
Can't find a better one.
Wasn't that your New Year's resolution
this setup
for me?
Won't work for Todd. Todd can't see over the desk.
Oh, man.
Too small.
Poor guy.
Oh, wow.
Tiny desk, tiny Todd.
Wow.
We get him a high stool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine skipping past mine because
We are too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
meat and potatoes. I'll go ahead and mute my mic now and then just
Yeah.
stare at Chris for the rest of this episode.
I sure hope Johnny cuts to some of these withering glances I'm picking up from this guy over here.
Johnny, if you're listening.
Johnny.
All right. All right, let's jump into the meat and potatoes. We are in week 3 of our sermon series called Questions. And these are not questions we're asking of Scripture. It's questions that Jesus asked in Scripture to us or to his disciples. And so the question we're focusing on this week is, could you not watch 1 hour?
Could you not, Terry?
That's right. Could you not tarry 1 hour? This is out of Mark chapter 14. Pastor Chris, could you just give us the context?
I said Terry for the sake of my formerly
Pentecostals?
Pentecostal
There you
wife.
go.
Yeah.
What's crazy is when I think of this question, actually, that's the word that comes to
Terry?
mind for
Yeah.
me. Yes.
Yeah.
So can you
Yeah,
give us the context? What's happening in this story, and how do we get up to this question?
We're staying in Mark, which I think is really kind of cool. We started the year off in Mark 12, and we've just sort of camped around this.
Yeah.
Basically, Mark 8 through. We're going to get as far as we've gone so far, the end of Mark 14. But Mark 14 is we're picking up in Jesus' arrest in Gethsemane. 14 is where they've hatched the plot. They've had the Last Supper. Flip the page, and he's praying in Gethsemane. So the question is a question about prayer, which really is the centerpiece of the message, because we've said this before. Jesus is not asking us questions just for the sake of asking us questions. This is not about, could you not do what you were doing for an hour? It's not just that on the surface. Jesus is teaching them about prayer. Jesus is preparing them for the test that is to come. So I think what you actually see in this passage is Peter fails 3 tests. Why would Peter fail 3 tests? Well, just wait. Peter's going to fail 3 more tests once they get to Caiaphas' house.
Yeah.
And I think it's about prayer. Man, I think it's about prayer as a tool that shapes me, and prayer is a tool that helps me. We said last week, if you're not prepared to pass the daily discipleship test, then you're not going to be prepared when the big moment comes. And I think that that's what we see here with kind of adding all these messages stand on their own, but if we added a layer to what happened last week, that's a bit of what's going on here.
Yeah.
Prayer, the test of prayer.
So that's what we're talking about throughout this whole message is prayer, and we break it down into 4 different kinds of prayers, 4 types of prayers. We talk about supplication, prayer, thanksgiving, and intercession. And we're not necessarily getting that out of this one specific passage, but as we're talking about the topic of prayer, we're just breaking it down into different kinds of prayers when we say that. So did you want to add something first?
No, I'm just turning to the passage that talks about.
So let's talk about the first one. So supplication. What is supplication, and what does that look like for us?
So then let me just throw it in real quick. I just flipped there. It is 1 Timothy 2. So when we say that we call it 4 things of prayer, we actually see that recorded.
Good.
There are folks that will say that these are the 4 types of prayer. Paul writes about them to Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1, and there are 4 of them. We'll break down now. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in.
Can you read it?
Oh, yeah, sure. 1 Timothy 2:1. First of all, then I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people.
There you go.
And then I'll briefly, we like 30,000 foot view, fly over them, hone in on intercession, and that's really where we spend, because that's what Jesus is asking them for
There
here.
you go. So let's talk about these 4 different kinds of prayers.
Yeah.
So when we say supplication, what are we talking about?
Supplication is essentially it's bringing your needs before God. I think especially when you're facing desperate circumstances, like there's a desperation about supplication.
There is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but essentially that's what it is. You're bringing your needs before God.
So this isn't like
asking Him-
this isn't your prayer list where I'm praying for Bobby and I'm praying for the Jones family.
Right.
This is something that I need.
This is DEFCON 1. This is I'm on the drive to the emergency room, and I'm making supplications before God because I have no idea what's happening. I don't know if there's parking. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out. And that is supplication.
And I'm stepping on somebody's toes, but that's not my intent. When we say bringing our needs before God, it's not like my prayers for my prayers for the Mercedes that I've got pinned to my refrigerator and I'm believing Jesus for. That's not supplication.
Claim it, brother.
So you kind of gave an example, a little bit of supplication.
Yes, that's
as
a
far
great
as, like,
example.
I am in desperate need. I feel like I'm between a rock and a hard place. Maybe it's a family member who's deathly ill, and you're in the midst of that situation. You're going to the hospital, that type of situation.
I think the setting is what dictates. So there's a passage we're going to brush over, but Ephesians 6 talks about spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And what Paul hones in on in that passage is in the midst of talking about the armor of God. This is why I would say that prayer is a warfare tool, because it happens in the warfare passage where Paul's teaching them about spiritual warfare and the armor of God. He actually specifically says that intercessions and supplications be made in the midst of that sort of moment. So that's why I'm kind of adding intercessions can be desperation, but not always. But in the moment where we have our desperate cry to God is save now, help now, issue, problem now, DEFCON 1, that is supplication.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how does that differ then? The second category is just normal prayers. So you got supplication, prayers, thanksgiving, intercession. So how does the supplication, praying for my needs, how does that differ from the second one of prayers?
It differs from prayers. Prayers are more a general catch-all term for like the prayer form Jesus taught in Matthew chapter 6.
Good.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Come your kingdom, be done your will. That prayer form that I teach all the time.
Okay.
Because not every day shouldn't be. If every day is a 911, then we need to talk about. So there are seasons that are.
I was going to say there are seasons though where you're just begging.
That's good, and I know that you're good at this. But we've been through seasons where I go sit and pout on the couch, and your little Pentecostal holiness background rises up, and you turn into like Queen Supplication, and you're good at it.
Yeah. I am good at crying out and begging.
Well, and there may be a gift of faith attached to that too.
So from this place of a gift of faith, seriously, so from this place of having that gift of faith, you're crying out to God.
Crying out to God. It doesn't mean that my situation's going to change, but my attitude's going to change, and also I know that He's going to take care of it. Even if it's not the answer that I want, I still have faith that He's going to take care of it.
Yeah.
No, that's not your everyday prayer though.
Yeah.
Let me say, she was raised Assemblies of God, Pentecostal. I was raised non-denominational, so I should be clear because I make a lot of jokes on this podcast about denominational this, that, and the next. I should be really clear. There are things that I really deeply cherish. I went to a Southern Baptist college. There are things that I very deeply cherish about certain denominational streams, and I'm going to be real with you. The Assemblies of God, the supplication, the ability to go like 0 to DEFCON 1, they're better at it than we non-denoms, and we could actually stand to pick up a little of that flow.
Learn a little something there.
Well, her dad is a former AG pastor, and you get that man around, and I'm going to stop and think and kind of reason through my theological whatever, and he's gone. He's already gone.
Yeah.
He's already ready to throw himself on the mercy seat. So
just that we're good with the desperation.
They're
we
good
know
with,
we're desperate
they're
for God.
good with the desperation.
Yeah.
It's true.
Now
that
like
differs,
you said,
that differs
that's not
from
an
prayers.
everyday thing.
That's not an everyday thing. So I do think it's important to like recognize that desperation and supplication is a season. And really, if there's like a foundational rhythm of daily, that's what prayers are.
Just seeking after God.
I've got a rhythm of a prayer. I've got a prayer rhythm that I'm going to get into, at which point the Holy Spirit's in charge, not me. I'm not praying for myself or so that somehow I can hit all the boxes and therefore God now has a full picture of what's happening in my life. He already did. But I've got this prayer rhythm that sort of helps me in the event that things aren't firing, things aren't working. I mean, sometimes you wake up and it's just not the morning.
Yep.
Like you had a bad night or whatever, and so I slip into this rhythm that will help jump off. But if you think about supplications as like 911, DEFCON 1, prayers is my basic sort of fundamental meat and drink. It's my daily bread.
There you go.
That's it. It's daily bread. It's my daily needs. It's kind of refreshing my submission to God. It's like give me wisdom for this situation. Like it's those things.
So if we're going to follow a hospital 911 analogy, you call the ambulance and you go with. But at the same time, my mom and I were with a family member a few months ago in the emergency room, and it sort of reached a point where evening was dragging on and nobody had eaten. So one of my siblings runs to Chick-fil-A, comes in and brings us a couple of sandwiches, and everybody gets their strength back up. Because at the end of the day, you still got to keep eating, and that's the thing about prayers. It's the reminder that I must fuel myself with my fuel, which is my relationship with Him.
Yeah, that's good.
So in the midst of all these other types of prayer, I got to go back to home base, and I got to remain grounded in You are my source, You are my fuel, You are my.
Yeah.
I got to eat my Chick-fil-A.
So whereas supplication could be seeking God's hand, because I need this right now.
Yeah.
Prayers can often be seeking His face. Like, I just want to be close to You. I want to draw close to You.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you've got Thanksgiving. It sounds pretty self-explanatory.
You skipped one.
Yeah.
What's that?
You skipped one.
Which one did I skip?
Intercessions.
I thought it was last.
Nope.
Okay. So
Thanksgiving was the
intercessions.
It's fine. We can do it your way or the Bible's way. Let's do it your way.
No. Is intercession next on there? Let's do it.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about intercession. So
Intercession's when you use your access to God on behalf of another. So supplication's about me, 911. Prayer's about me putting myself right before God. Intercession has nothing to do with me. And I'm going to use this moment to bring these people's needs, this group of people, the local church, my friends, my family, my quote-unquote needs that aren't mine. I'm going to stand in here as a representative for somebody else, and that's what intercession is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said standing in the gap.
Yeah.
Standing in the gap.
Yeah. I think about Moses. It was that story when the people of Israel are dying off, and he literally stands in the gap, and the plague stops. And for me, that's such a picture of intercession.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we see it all over the place. Jesus, John 17, the high priestly prayer is filled with intercession. Paul
He called it the high priestly prayer. Where's Dr. Carlo? Dr. Carlo just felt a trickle go down his spine.
Wow.
He and I had that argument all the time. What is the Lord's Prayer? He says, John. I say Matthew because that's what it's called. But he's like, no, that's the disciples' prayer. Anyway, continue. My fault.
Yeah, anyways. The high priestly prayer, John 17. Filled with intercession. Paul talks about intercession all the time. I remember you in my prayers. I ask these things for you from God. So,
for the sake of our text, that's what Jesus is asking them to do. So Jesus goes with his disciples to Gethsemane.
Okay.
He takes Peter, James, and John. He says, come away with me. But then he says, remain over here. So the language is crystal clear. I'm going to go further, and I want you to watch. Now, here's what he doesn't mean. He's not saying stay awake in case they get the jump on me. Nope. He's not saying protect me, guard me. He's just going, hey, will you guys go before the throne for me? I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to get like real specific one-on-one with my Father. But would you intercede for me while I'm over there? And 3 times he comes back.
They're sleeping.
And 3 times.
can I make an addition to that?
No.
Good. Fantastic. I will anyways. I think to add to that, I think he is also encouraging them towards supplication.
Okay.
Because he knows, like, y'all are lagging right now.
Yeah.
Like, he knows that. And we'll talk about this more as we go further into the podcast, but Jesus knows that they've got some stuff working against them at that point. And so that sense of kind of being alert, being on the watch. Yeah, I agree. It's not about like, can you bag these guys before they nab me up? Like, that's not what Jesus is doing. It's like, it's going to benefit you guys if you're aware and awake right now.
Okay. Before we move on, let's just cover the last one. Thanksgiving. It's pretty self-explanatory. Anything you want to add to it? What is Thanksgiving?
So there's some turkey, and then you've got
sweet potato casserole. Come on.
Well,
now.
but it depends on what kind of sweet potato casserole.
Oh, that's fair.
There's some that's
they're not all made equal.
They're not all made equal.
I prefer the green bean casserole, but yeah.
Oh, okay. No, yeah.
My sister-in-law Megan makes the best green bean
I have
casserole.
grown.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, I've
but
grown
she does
to
it with
appreciate
like
that.
bacon on top. It's good.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, so Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is
Gratitude.
Yeah, it's worship, really, at its core. The heart of worship is to, and I say this without saying that I have control over where he sits enthroned, but the heart of worship is to enthrone Jesus in his rightful place. So the heart of Thanksgiving is to place him in the place that the glory that he's won for his name deserves. To place him in the place where he receives all glory and honor, which is the end of the game.
Yeah.
The shooting match.
That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we can move on. I just want to make sure we hit that before. But you were talking about, this gives us the context for the big question we're asking today. Could you not tarry one more hour? Hey, that's the way it's memorized in my mind. So could you not tarry one more hour, right? And so what I find interesting about the story is that it's not whitewashed. If you think about it, we're reading from the book of Mark, and Mark's gospel is based on Peter's account. Mark is the one who's writing it, but Peter's the one who's telling the story. Yeah. And this story does not put Peter in the best light.
Yes.
So
it doesn't put any of the disciples in the best light.
It does not.
It really
So Peter's being vulnerable.
Hugely.
Yeah.
I'll say in the message, this feels like this is so. Mark is quick. Mark doesn't write a conclusion. It's almost as if he sort of we've added, your Bible adds, depending on what translation or version you have, your Bible will add kind of an addition that was later added to be sort of the conclusion, but that's not how it ends. It ends with the resurrection, and then basically Mark just stops.
Yep.
So it's sort of left open for you to go, wow, I'm really wrestling with this whole resurrection moment, and they sort of added an addendum to make it land easier later. But it almost feels like Mark slows down and gets, especially if you think about Mark writing what Peter's saying, it's almost like this period of Peter's ministry and life is tattooed on his arm or something, or written on his brain with a Sharpie, because it's so, it doesn't cover over and gloss over. I mean, they bailed on their friend, regardless of how you deal with it. When the hammer came down, these guys who had walked the path of discipleship and not a few hours ago promised, we will not bail on you.
Right.
As soon as the first thing starts to go sideways, think about this with me for a second. He has walked on water. He has raised the dead. He has done all these things in front of you. Now, maybe this is the moment where they realize, oh crap, he was serious. He really is going to be crucified and die. I don't know. But he's gotten out of every jam that they've ever found him in. And in the first moment where it gets really big and dicey for them, poof, they're gone. And not only are they gone, by the time the night's done, they've fallen into every trap and failed every single test. And that really is the back half of Mark 14. That is the lesson of the back half of Mark 14. Watch and pray that you may not fall into temptation. Because the spirit is willing. Oh, no. I know you're willing. But your body, your soul, your flesh, your natural self is really weak. And so if you don't prepare, then you may not pass this test. That's what I mean by this is like, I mean, if you're trying to whitewash this, to turn this into some kind of rosy, pull the wool over everybody's eyes for thousands of years and just cheat everyone into this new fun religion we're starting, this is not how you do this.
Yeah.
Well, what I find interesting about that verse that you just quoted is that Jesus ties prayer directly to temptation. Mm-hmm. There's a direct correlation between prayer and temptation.
What is temptation?
So we often separate those.
Correct. What is temptation? Temptation is an action of warfare. It is an action of spiritual warfare. I know where your spirit resides, but I would like you to leave where you are and come over here.
Yeah.
Where has this worked before? Oh gosh, I don't know. The Garden of Eden.
Yep.
Yeah.
This play has worked forever. Can I get you to leave this spot and come over here? So what Jesus is giving us is one of the actions of spiritual warfare. How are you going to fight? Pray. How are you going to build up your faith? Pray.
Yeah. Have you ever done something, and I'm not asking you to air out your dirty laundry here on the podcast, but we've probably all had those moments where we've done something that we deeply regret, that we're not proud of, and areas where we've sinned against God, and you know, we feel that feeling of letting him down. How do you respond after? That's one of the lessons we're learning here.
Do you mean
but I'm asking you.
Should we respond?
I'm not asking ideally. I'm asking
what's the usual human?
Yes.
Yeah. Self-flagellation.
That is oftentimes how we respond.
I'm the worst.
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough. I'm too stupid. That is often how we respond. Now, lest I sound like I'm being too critical of Peter, I think what I marvel at in this story is, number one, that Peter's failed the test in the garden, and yet, let's give him his props. He's still brave enough to sneak into the high priest spot.
Yeah.
There's some bravery there.
He's still willing.
He's still willing. And even after he flubs this, like he doesn't just fail the SAT. Guys, he gets up before the test is started and he walks out. Yeah. He gets a 0 on the SAT, which means he's not going to the college of his choice. Yeah. That's sarcasm. And yet, Jesus restores him, because you know where we find him in the fishing expedition? Right back in the boat with the boys.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at the end of the day, Peter responds in a way that I think sets up the restorative process, because he doesn't disqualify himself from fellowship and he doesn't step outside of fellowship. Yeah. And this is a really big sin.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the big ones, right? People like to pretend that, like, getting drunk and on sex and this, that, and the next. These are really big, bad ones. He has denied the Savior to his face.
Yeah.
This is a really, really, really big no-no. And, man, by Acts chapter 3...
There it is.
He's preaching the paint off the walls, and people are coming to, like, what the? It's a crazy story.
And you see this restoration with him, because he denied Jesus to his face because he was afraid that maybe his life would be in danger. But then by the time you get to Acts chapter 3, he's preaching in Jesus' name, and they said, you better stop that or we're going to stone you.
And he doesn't care about his life anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And by that point, it's the same test. It's the same danger. And yet he says, you won't stop me from preaching in Jesus' name.
But now we got the eye of the tiger.
Well, there we go.
It's kind of the thrill of the fight, really.
Okay.
It's fantastic. I'm inspired.
He's given up his right to survive. The right of survival.
It's really cute.
Oh dear.
Gosh. So,
I think you're being a troll.
Would you stop?
No, he's deliberately being a troll right now, because he saw my wife do that exact same thing to me earlier, and he's deciding he can do the same thing.
Wow.
Look at that. I got under his skin.
Yeah, it's not the same response that I get.
That was good. Sorry, Jeff.
Is that so? No.
You were going to bestow us with some wisdom.
I'd like to hear more.
No, you were telling us about how smart you are.
Yeah, go ahead. Bestow us.
Stuffed animal lyricist.
Yes.
Osage.
So, no. Our self-awareness, quite often, our self-awareness grows most through our failures. We realize, wow, I really destroyed that moment. And it's that determination of, no, that's got to be better. And I understand in saying it that way, that could sound relatively humanistic. I don't mean that. I don't mean that humanistically. But Peter's self-awareness takes a massive leap after this episode. So it seems. And so
no,
I think it's
so for sure it does.
I think that's one of the things I love the most about Mark is you see, just like you said, it's almost like it's tattooed on Peter's arm. Like Mark has heard him tell of his own failures. And I think that's why Mark focuses on Peter so much in the failures. Because if you read Luke, like Luke does not single Peter out at all in this scene.
But Mark's gospel certainly does.
Mark's gospel does, because it's Peter's version of the story. And Peter's not going, dude, John Mark, that dude was a loser. Like, Peter didn't do that. Peter's pointing back at himself. It's fantastic.
Mark takes the biggest pass at Peter. But second, and maybe I should not look too deep under this, but I do think it's funny that Matthew does. You know what I mean? Matthew doesn't pull any punches either, which is funny because that dude's a tax collector. Like,
right.
At the end of the day,
that's true.
He's trying to
that's his job, isn't it?
He's trying to remind the Jewish folk, forget I was a tax collector. Let's talk about Peter a second. You know
there
what I mean?
you go.
I find humor in how these guys like shaded each other for
Tax
all time
collectors
in the
have
Bible.
no problem reminding you of your shortcoming.
No.
That's their
The
job.
tax collector will go, no,
You
you're a
owe
little
me.
short.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
See?
That's good.
All right.
That's good.
Were you going to finish that, or was that it?
No, we see Peter's.
Sorry, I was underwhelmed.
Thanks for your input, Jeff.
I was waiting for the deep part.
No, I'm simply reiterating. Peter obviously is deeply aware of his flaws, and I think what Chris said is absolutely right. It's not in a way. I don't think Peter is living in shame at this point, although I suspect he probably is at some points here.
Yeah, that's probably part of the healing process.
Yeah.
There's a verse in here that's going to jump off of that. I want to suggest something. And if you've been walking with Jesus for fewer than, I don't know, a lot of years, I'm going to suggest that you sort of listen to what I'm saying, but don't do this. I would suggest if you've been walking with Jesus for a while, there's something in the text that really kind of jumped at me, and I didn't have time to really camp on it in the message. But I want to camp on it for a second here because I think it's a little of what we're seeing under the surface with what Peter's doing as well. Jesus goes and falls to the ground and prays, if it's possible that the hour might pass. And he said, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I will, but you will.
Yeah.
I don't think that what Jesus is doing is trying to talk himself over the finish line. I think he's already decided. I do think that what gives him pause is not death on the cross. It's not the resurrection. It's not any of those things. I think what gives him pause is because he's thinking about the cup of the wrath of his Father.
Absolutely.
So what I see happening here is I see Jesus using a prayer form that I'm not even going to teach this weekend, and that is lament. Because Jesus is considering the weight of the wrath of God, and he's going, okay. I think a bit of that is what we see hidden under the surface of how Mark is relating what he hears Peter saying. Because I think that what has arrested Peter from Acts Peter on to his death, what's arrested him is he's sat with the weight of what his sins cost his Savior. When I suggest lament, and the reason I said if you're new to the faith, don't do this, because you'll just get into like this, oh yeah, woe is me. But I think you start to reach a point in maturing as a believer when you can sit with the weight. For me, it's communion. When I can sit with the weight of the price Jesus paid for a second, that's what leads me to this emotional type response is my lament. Yes, I'm sorry for my sin. Yes, I'm sorry he had to die. But at the same time, for 1 second, I start to feel a bit of the weight of what he shouldered in that moment, which then responds and turns into thanksgiving. You can't just camp and lament and just lament forever.
Brings you to a place of
really
gratitude.
powerful, proper, even liturgical lament leads to thanksgiving.
Yep.
Because that's like David's secret sauce in the Psalms. These deep, deep, heart-grown laments that lead to something else. That I haven't fully decided if I'm going to preach that necessarily. I don't want to get sidetracked on it. And it's a really kind of and don't freak out. It's really kind of a 301, 401 level. Like I've been walking with God for a minute, and I need to start going back to the root in the beginning because it helps tenderize your heart back to when you first met him, as opposed to someone who's been a long time from going back to that first moment sometimes can start to lose the mystery and the wonder and the power of lament, and like what Jesus does right here when he's thinking about the cup, and like what I think Peter has been doing by the time he's preaching, and Mark going back and watching Peter basically go back to this really vulnerable spot in these sermons. When he's preaching this and telling this story, it's got to be a really powerful spot where he goes back and basically uncovers his scars in front of people to go, look at that, because the power of it points to his resurrection and his restoration. But
otherwise,
anyway.
how would Mark have heard the story to begin with?
Yeah, sorry, that was a huge long sidebar, but
you get the impression that Mark wrote this gospel because Peter told these stories so frequently. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I don't envision Peter standing in the corner of the room as Mark is writing down the gospel, and he's just, dictating, and Mark is writing it all down. Mark is gathering all of these things that Peter has told about Jesus and about his experience of Jesus. And I imagine these stories have probably been told all of these times. But
the Holy Spirit's inspiring the selected portions, because we already know from the fact that the synoptics do and don't include a bunch of the same sources. So we know there's other stuff that didn't make it in here.
Yeah.
Right.
That did make it in other gospels, and there's stuff that didn't make it in any of the gospels.
Right.
So the Holy Spirit's inspiring the stuff, which is why I'm such a proponent on slow down, read it again, and let people kind of take you beneath the surface on it, because otherwise you just read through this real fast and go, Peter's an idiot. And when he's done being an idiot, then whatever. But
then he's restored.
Yeah.
So it leads me to this question of, with looking at Peter's story and the way he was restored, forgiveness is real, but also consequences are real too.
Oh.
So how do we reconcile this tension between embracing the forgiveness
Why don't
that
we
God
ask?
has
Why
for
don't we
us?
ask the only mother sitting at the table? You can forgive, but at the same time, when they've done stepped in it and the consequences have to come, you can still love through
Yeah,
consequences.
how do you do that with your kids?
Oh, well, yes.
How do you do
obviously
that? How do you do
never
that with
stop
a silly husband?
loving with a silly
How do you
husband.
discipline him?
He's so silly.
Look somewhere else. Why are you looking at me?
You're going to make me talk. It's because you're looking at me.
But I just glanced
This
over.
is my job. Rachel, please, we'd
yes.
love to hear from you.
What am I answering? I'm answering. Okay, so how do you
The
deal
tension
with
between
the
forgiveness
tension
and
between
consequences.
consequences.
Yeah.
So you forgive your kids
Yes,
they
because-
screwed up,
yeah,
but
and-
there's still
and
consequences.
Consequences are, because you love someone.
Yeah.
You love someone, so you're going to discipline them. Because if you don't discipline them, then
Yeah.
you're not teaching them, and they're
Yes,
not learning, and
that's
they're just
exactly
getting away with it, and they're going to just keep repeating. And so there has to be consequences. But you can love through consequences. And as a parent, as a mother, I say that with my kids all the time. I'm doing, and obviously a little kid's going to be like, what? I'm doing this because I love you. What? But then as they get older, they will understand that. And I did not fully understand that as a kid, being disciplined but just, you can forgive. You have to forgive. But there has to be consequences.
Jesus is
Your
going to
actions.
forgive and restore, but he says in Mark chapter 14, verse 41, he came to them a third time and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? It is enough." Translators, who are not me, I comment on other people's translations, but people who know the stuff and did the work. This is a statement of exasperation, almost as if we have reached the end. You have stepped in it again. I love you, but now you're in trouble. I love you, but you're grounded. I love you, but tomorrow you're not gonna. You ain't going anywhere. You're not gonna see the sun. That's what he's just said to him. Basically, we're done. The tests have been failed. The consequences will come. I love you. The Son of Man, rise. Let's go. My betrayer's at hand.
Yep, here
oh well.
they are.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
You missed your opportunity.
Yeah, love you. Moving on.
Yeah.
If we have in mind, and if we think of consequences as being about exacting our pound of flesh, if consequences are
Yikes.
about vengeance, you know what I mean? If they're about punishment for the sake of vengeance, then we're never going to be
Yes.
able to reconcile forgiveness and consequences.
That's a great
being
point.
together.
That is good.
So
That is good.
if you find yourself having a hard time with that idea, how can these things coexist? Ask yourself the question, what do I think consequences are for? And where is my heart? You probably have some people you need to forgive.
Yeah.
Let me just suggest.
No, but
probably
that's
true.
good.
I will confess on this podcast in front of all of you, that is, as a father, that's been a maturing process in looking at my kids, because when I was the kid, I just assumed that every action had consequences, and those included grounding and not being, they always had some consequence. So when my kids were younger, I'll admit to you, I sometimes felt like when they did something bad, if I didn't respond by quote unquote taking the pound of flesh, well, now you're grounded. If I didn't respond that way, then somehow it meant they got out of jail free,
Yeah.
and it was consequenceless. And it wasn't until I recognized that I'm not trying to modify their behavior, I'm trying to train and teach a heart posture, that I stopped going. We've gone around, especially with the baby, especially with Iris. Somebody had to come last, but that child, of all of our children, she was uniquely, specially geared by God to get at that issue in my heart. Because that's the child that you could be like, no, and she'd be like, yes, sir. And then 3 minutes later, it's like,
yeah,
we just talked about this. Yes, sir. You remember? Uh-huh. And you just did it anyway. Yes, sir. Like, really? Like,
Fantastic.
wow.
I love it.
Oh,
what
wow.
a gleeful, beautiful sinner.
Iris, God bless you.
So it was that revelation,
Yes.
taking apart forgiveness consequences and not dealing with them as I can't forgive you unless there are consequences or unless there's some big
Yeah.
that really helped dial down my black and white works-based.
Yeah.
There it is.
She's
Yes.
by nature more graceful, so you're going to get away with more with her. You're going to get away with nothing with me. But the power of those two together, especially when we could take the it's really like my relationship with Iris over the past few years has really blossomed because of that.
It's one thing for us to parent with that understanding. It's another thing for us to be on the other side of the token where we're the ones receiving the forgiveness, but also having to walk in the consequences and recognizing that these consequences don't mean that God disowns me or loves me less or anything like that. I need to embrace the fact. You said it earlier, God disciplines those whom he loves.
Yeah.
And so I need to embrace the love that he has for me and the forgiveness and the grace while understanding that my actions have consequences.
And consequences are not spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't blame it on spiritual warfare.
Somebody needle
Yes.
point that on a pillow.
She's
I'm going to tell you
laughing.
what. Yeah.
You have
She's
20 years of
laughing.
tax
That
evasion.
is a
But if you
fact.
take the smile and the laugh away, and I've seen the other side, that is a nail of a point right
Yes,
there.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
That's right.
The IRS is coming after me for 20 years of tax
right.
evasion.
Yeah, right.
Daddy
It's
gave me 5
spiritual warfare.
spankings. The devil is working.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's a good, man, that's fantastic. I love it.
Almost spank the devil out of you, by
Chris,
God.
you end this message talking about, will we be the ones who watch? And obviously you're pointing back to the story. They weren't able to watch and pray for an hour, but you turned that back on us.
But that's kind of a, will we be the ones who watch?
the test is on us, huh?
It is, because we find a whole lot of times that prayer, warfare, I'm always talking about, this is not a life addition. This is a life trade.
Right.
This is a whole life thing. Because inconvenient moments to watch, that could be a whole Bible study. Moments when people were inconvenienced by intercession or prayer or some form of a spiritual thing that led to a greater thing. I mean, as silly as it sounds, one of the least heralded people in the book of Exodus is a girl by the name of Miriam, whose brother Moses gets put in a basket, and but for the fact that she watched.
Yep.
And you can go, well, that's not actually prayer and intercession. Well, I mean, yeah, kind of. She was the mouthpiece of God to someone else to say, here's how we can preserve this child's life. But think about the inconvenience of hiding in the bushes by the river, watching and waiting and watching, and then following, and then revealing yourself to the Egyptians who hate you and saying, this, I can help you with this child, blah, blah, blah. And then Moses actually goes on to do what Moses does because his sister decided to be inconvenienced. I mean, there are places and moments where we treat a little minor, seemingly inconvenient thing. I got a phone call from a friend. I don't know if I want to take it. I pick it up. There's something going wrong. Am I willing to stop all this busyness that I've got going on and use moments to intercede for the sake of others? I know that by nature I'm kind of a driven turkey, and I know that I can be task. So I have a list of people for whom I intercede. I use my phone. I put reminders, and they ding. And I do it every day.
Okay.
And the way that I fight
That's
my
helpful.
flesh is by going, I've committed to them, because people say that all the time. Oh, well, I'll pray for you. And they don't,
Right.
which is either lying at worst or just inconsiderate at best. So don't tell someone you're going to pray for them if you're not, or that you're praying if you aren't or won't. So if I say that I will, I put it on that little thing, and it dings and reminds me. And
That's a really neat way to do that. And I'm sure you guys have some other hacks or ways that we can do this, but my thought is we live in such a busy world.
That's the only hack. I don't want to tell you a bunch of how-tos. I want to tell you why more than I want to tell you how to.
But I'm wondering, like, how do we watch and pray in a modern? Like, how do we play this out in a sense that we live in such a busy world that's loud. There's so much going on around us. How are
getting away? Sorry.
Are you okay over there? How do we stay diligent to watch and pray?
Okay, well, I wanted to bring up something else kind of, so this is kind of answering your question a little bit, because I was just having this conversation with a friend last week about being an intercessor for people versus like a burden bearer.
Okay.
And
I remember. Yeah, this is
I
a
just
good point.
wanted to add really fast, like when you're interceding for other people, you kind of are wearing their burden, but you're not supposed to live in that, like wearing other people's burdens. And so my friend was like, how do you intercede for people? How do you pray for people and be there for them? I feel like I'm wearing everybody's burdens. And so that's just something that you have to be very cautious of, because God,
what are you saying?
God's
called you to intercede, but not to be
if you're
him.
interceding for, and you're not the one going through that, so God's not giving you that strength to go through that. He's giving that to them. Am I making sense?
You are.
Yeah.
So
He's given them the grace to make it through. He's given you the task to pray. So you pray and use that time to intercede, but he ain't giving you the grace to wear the burden.
Yes.
Because they're wearing the burden.
Yes. He says it so much more eloquently.
But that's what you're saying.
But that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
I still credit you for that.
Living in
Me too.
a
I'm just putting word.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's great. Were you asking how do you keep praying for people in the
How do we watch
fast-paced
and pray? You're answering my
world?
question.
Yeah. Not wearing other people's burdens.
Yeah.
And like you said, you have it on your phone. You'll get like dings all the time, like, pray for this person, pray for this person, pray for this. And sometimes when I'm on your computer and I see that, I'll pray for them too.
It's on my iCloud. It's on every Apple device.
I write it down in my paper calendar. But
Your paper calendar.
My paper calendar.
It doesn't ding.
You've influenced Stephanie that direction. She has a paper calendar.
Though? And even like sometimes like in my prayer
is Stephanie part of that calendar mafia thing?
Yes, she is.
It is a mafia.
It
is so weird.
But in my prayer life, a lot of times my prayers are written down. So like they're written down in my journal. So like they're pray for this person, pray for this person. But then like writing notes through prayer. Anyway, that's how I do it.
Yeah. So I would add to this.
I feel like a microaggression was just thrown my direction. I feel unsafe in this moment.
Okay. You're welcome to leave if this is not a safe space.
He invited you to leave.
I mean, so I think one of the things with this is how you have to. There is an awareness. You have to be aware of yourself, your weaknesses. One of the things and we had this conversation the other day that stands out to me here is, and I mentioned this earlier, the disciples have some stuff working against them in this moment.
Naturally.
Right?
Yes.
Like it's Passover, right? So they've had a really big meal,
right?
Lots of meat,
wine,
and 4 glasses of wine.
Yep.
And the week that they've had leading up to this, like think about that, right?
Oh,
You've had Matthew 23 and 24.
They're wiped.
They're wiped, and they've had all the emotional highs and lows you could possibly have. We can't go into all of that. They know something's coming, and now Jesus has told them, "I am in great distress."
Yeah.
Right, and he's gotten really heavy. And they know, and he's also said just a little bit before, one of you is going to betray me. And there's that whole thing that goes around. Is it me? And no, he dips his hand in the bowl. Okay, why don't you go ahead and go do what you need to do?
Right.
Like something's coming, and they know it. And Jesus' heart is distressed now, and all of that. So not only are they tipsy, they're full of food. It's dark, and Jesus is not just sad. Jesus is in distress.
Yeah.
It says they slept for sorrow, like
they are worn.
They are
the heck out,
and they've had wine, so like they've got a lot working against them. Let's not be too hard on them. So the message really is, hey, when things are working against you, how do you still be awake?
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, it's Passover. If you're reading our Bible reading plan this last week, we were reading in Exodus. And so you read the stipulation.
This morning.
You don't go outside.
Yeah.
They've never in their lives.
Yeah.
No Jew ever in their lives has had this meal and then gone hiking.
Because the point is you stay inside. You painted the doorposts and you stay inside.
They've done the whole thing.
Right.
They've never done this before. So yeah, this is
they're off kilter.
This is big prep for a big battle that's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you stay awake and aware?
How do you watch and pray?
And right, when things are actually working against you in that season.
Because there are two things that are happening. Number one, we know we have history on our side, so we get to see the totality of the story play out. Jesus redeems the story. So I want to remind you, wherever you are in the midst of this, you don't get I'm too far gone, I get to throw in the towel and be done. You don't get that pressure release because Jesus redeems every portion of the story.
Yeah.
Yes.
However, you also have the two things working on either sides of the same coin. On the one side, you have the great release of Jesus' restoration. But on the other side, you have all of the moments of preparation. They've been walking with him for 3 years. You have all these moments of preparation, all these gates.
Them.
He did.
Yep.
He told them so clearly, and they just didn't hear. Not because they didn't hear, but because they didn't hear.
That's right.
Not because they didn't see, but because they didn't see. That's why I'm always going on and on about we got to be honest with God. We got to approach him openly and transparently because I got to get his eyes for what's happening.
That's right.
Or I'm going to miss the moments of testing. I'm going to miss the moments of discipleship. I'm going to miss these big things. And then I'm going to swing and miss and go, well, my faith doesn't work. No, you failed the test. So it's that you have to go back 3 paces and pick this stuff back up and then come up here. I mean...
And the test will come again.
Yeah, everyone wants to bat 1,000 and be perfect all the time and never have a mistake because we lived in a glossed over AI type world where everything can be perfect the first go round. And I think that is some of the nature of what we're talking about with this slow down, smell the roses, write in a paper journal, and read what's there, not what's not.
All right, so we're getting low on time, but I want to end with some speed questions that's going to wrap this up. So, so we're just going to go around the table. We're going to try to answer all these questions in 60 seconds total. Here we go. All right. Do you pray more for comfort or courage?
Ouch.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, probably too much for comfort.
Okay.
For courage.
Courage.
No, good for you.
Yeah, if I'm honest, it's probably more for comfort, but I wish I prayed more for courage.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. All right. What's harder for you, praying alone or praying out loud?
Neither.
Yeah.
Which one's harder for you, praying alone or praying out loud?
Honestly, praying out loud for me, I'm better when I write things down. So
Okay.
praying out loud.
I guess if I have to pick one, it's alone because if I'm not accountable, I don't always do what I should do.
I'm better praying alone. I used to get nervous praying in front of people. I think that I'm just, at this point, calloused.
Okay, does I was just going to move on like you didn't just say what you just said. All right.
Well, you do it long enough, and it just sort of...
Yeah. Does prayer change outcomes or does it change me?
I'm going to say both, but there's a lot of theology behind that, and we can't unpack it all.
Yeah, well, I understand that.
Yeah.
Me.
Changes you.
I feel like it changes me.
I'm gonna somewhat agree with Jeff, and I'm gonna say that 99% of talking to Christians, I'm gonna talk about you.
That's good. Yeah,
Because
100%.
Theology is about understanding.
So good.
Prayer, as it pertains to you, is about changing an action. So control the controllables, because theology is not a controllable.
Yeah.
That's good.
Last one. What distracts us most from prayer?
You.
Yeah.
Nick Ertel.
Selfish. Nick Ertel is my biggest distraction from prayer.
Yourself.
Selfishness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Absolutely.
Self. You agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. Nick Ertel.
That makes sense. I'm on your mind. We're living rent free.
Okay.
I love it. All right, producer Bryson, we're finishing this up. Well, you got a final segment for us?
Yeah, we got a little Manna mailbag.
Ooh.
We got the swoosh back. It was broken last week because we were in a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why there was no swoosh. Anyway, this week's Manna mailbag is from Sunny D5. What does cyclical training / seasons look like in your spiritual habits? Assuming that you guys are always leaning into the Lord, but wondering if there are times. Thank you, Alvaro.
Is there a reason that people off screen keep bringing you tissues to no end?
Well,
do you have a wardrobe malfunction or something?
no. What? No.
Okay.
No, my nose.
Your
is
mascara's running?
running. Okay. Look,
Keep going.
I have natural eyelashes without
I'm sorry.
mascara.
The people had an insightful question. We don't want to hear from you. What did they say?
Sunny D.
Yes. I'm assuming that you guys are always leaning into the Lord, but wondering if there are times where there are more intense focus or less intense focus, and if that's intentional.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
This is the part where you expand on your
So
answer.
periodization. I believe in. I used to be a multi-sport athlete. Periodization is really big when it comes to long form, not destroying your muscles. So that just means like endurance sports. You can't just go 0 to Ironman and expect your body not to fall apart.
Right.
So you have to go through what they call a base building phase. The base building phase is where we build the ability to go long so we can start to build some foundation on what is the base. So when that's the case, if we're talking about prayer, I would always tell you that you must always be building the base of constantly learning to feed and have Him as my supply. More than if 100% of your prayer is supplication, then you're not doing periodization and doing base building. So there are places where either I might be addressing a pattern in my life that I feel like the Lord wants me to deal with and correct, or perhaps it's a study or some idealized version of working on a new goal where God's called me to take another step further. So I either could be cleaning up back here, I could be working to solidify here, or I could be going, no, we're going to build for long-term gains. I would have that as a goal set out, and then I would build my plan of periodization around my achievable goal.
That's good. Yeah, I would put it this way, that if you're going into, like if you're planning to have a vacation and get away with your family and unplug, that is not the time to plan a water-only fast. And that you're gonna, I'm gonna intercede
you're so holy.
the Middle East or whatever. Like that is not the moment for that, right?
Yeah.
That there are moments for that. You should do those things, but don't do it there. So that's just a real obvious. Hey, there's seasons and rhythms for spiritual activity.
I love
and
you.
could I add that we don't always get to choose those seasons?
No.
That's true.
I love you. I love you. I love you. Sometimes this question comes up because people try to go it alone.
Yes.
So believe it or not, when our team sits down to pray about the calendar and the rhythm for the church, I'm actually praying about how I can help you achieve what you're trying to achieve in your calendar and rhythm. So there's a reason that 21 days is how 21 days is, when it is, et cetera, et cetera. Not to say you can't do what God's called you to do on your own, but I'm not just making up sermon series and dates and events so I can fill a calendar because somehow some denomination magically pays me a check or something. Like that's not what's happening here. So we really do work to try to do seasons of periodization.
Yeah.
So our outreach times, our fasting times, our worship times, those are picked for the sake of the cycle of periodization sometimes that I'm in the midst of.
Yeah. When you were talking about it, because sometimes where the metaphor of even just comparing it to physical training is different, is there's no such thing as cheat days in spiritual discipline, where there's always should be maximum 100% effort into it, where there's moments
I
where
think there are cheat days.
I agree.
Well,
So a worship night is 100% a cheat day for me because I'm not on the hook to do anything, and neither are you. I love you, but if you're not one of the band members or people on stage, it's totally your time to simply show up and feast. So it is absolutely a cheat day. Or we'll have staff solitude days where I go alone and it's just me by myself spending all day praying, seeking God. That's a cheat day. You can schedule those on your own.
I guess what I mean by that is that, hey, it's not in the same way where a hobby is something that, I'm in a real intense fitness phase right now, where the walk with Jesus and spiritual discipline, always walking in sanctification, is not just a phase where there's moments where we kind of turn it off and turn it back on, where I'm like, I'm really into even worship nights, consider you're also a little further down the road than I am, and further down the road than some of our listeners as well. Where the
Bryson,
idea of a worship night being, that's a cheat day. Or
it's a life trade.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about cheat days, like an athlete takes cheat days, an athlete makes a life choice.
Sure.
So athletes take vacations. Even on their vacation, they're still doing some basic body prep, recovery, et cetera, to show up to training camp to be ready to start, whatever sport that is. So I think that more often than not, Christians live cheat months and years and then try to get serious for a couple of days a week and then go, well, where are my quote-unquote cheat days? Well, take it from a recovering Ironman. You get minor cheat days, but you live the lifestyle of the Ironman for 9 months out of the year before you race, and then you recover and start the cycle again.
Yeah.
But if you want to be serious about it and live a life that way, like a Christian walk, you got to act like we're on more than we're off.
Right.
And cheat days doesn't mean you take a break from God.
Right.
Like that's not what a cheat day means. Do your devotions, read your Bible, like connect with God. It just means that like whatever kind of spiritual heavy lifting you're engaged in,
There you go.
you've planned to go, I'm going to set this aside for that day.
On a cheat day, I probably wouldn't go examining my soul for ways that my attitude has gone south or side. I'm not going to go into full on deep dark recovery mode for all the waywardness of my soul. I might take a day where I go, Lord, I'm just going to focus on your goodness and worship. You do whatever the heck you want to do, but this is all I'm doing is focusing on you and your goodness and your mercy and
Yeah.
Yep. It's good. It's a good question. Thank you, Sonny D. In fact, if you have a question for us, maybe you're watching and you're like, man, I wish they'd answered this question. Drop it in the comments down below. We want to hear from you. We might answer it in a Manna mailbag.
Ooh.
That's it. So, all right. We love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you live in this area, why don't you stop by? We'd love to see you in one of our in-person services. You can go to manna.church to see all of our locations and service times. We'd love to have you here. If you don't live here, maybe look on our website anyway, because maybe we have a Manna Church near you. We are planting an expression of Manna Church next to every U.S. military base in the world, maybe next to the one you're at. So look online, manna.church. We'd love to have you there. God bless you guys, and until next time, let's change the world. Check out our website, manna.church, to find ways you can get connected with our services, small groups, outreaches, and more.